Hello, everybody. So today I'll be reading The Ring Bearer for my Read Aloud project, and this book is written and illustrated by Floyd Cooper. And then before I start reading, I'd like to pose the question of how do you think that this story will draw back to our topic this module of diverse children's literature? Is there anything that you think this story might be about, just looking at the cover? Okay, let's get started.
Mama is having a wedding, and Jackson is worried. What will it be like to call Bill Dad and share stuff with Sophie, his new little sister? Things won't be the same around here anymore. Can you tell which families are coming together? Who is Bill going to be to Jackson after the wedding? Jackson has an important job at the wedding, and he's not sure he can do it. Jackson's job is to take care of the rings. Bill walks by, pinching his hanky at the middle. He lifts it, flips it, and folds it into his top pocket to sit like a pet bird. Jackson giggles, but he's still nervous. Mama's having a wedding, and Jackson has to carry the rings down the aisle. Why the droopy shoulders? Bill asks as he lifts Jackson high and makes him tall. Jackson smiles on Bill's shoulders, but inside he thinks, Mama's having a wedding, and I have to carry the rings. But I don't want to trip in front of everyone and mess it all up. Maybe Bill should carry the rings. Have you ever had a big job that you were scared to do? Tall Jackson walks over to little Sophie, who is busy counting flowers. Sophie has an important job too. She has to carry the flowers. Do you remember who Sophie is and who she's going to be to Jackson after the wedding? Grandpop helps them practice, shows them how to walk down the aisle slow and steady. That way you won't trip, Grandpop says like he knows just what's in Jackson's heart. But Jackson is worried anyway. The music starts and Sophie takes off. Grandpop nudges Jackson to get him going too. Jackson walks slow and steady while Sophie skips ahead, ignoring Grandpop's advice. Mama is having a wedding, and Jackson has an important job to do. And no matter what Sophie does, he will not trip down the aisle. Jackson sees Sophie coming to a step, but Sophie only sees her flowers. Oh no! Jackson rushes to Sophie just as she trips on the step and catches her before she falls. Jackson looks at Grandpop. Grandpop cheers. Mama and Bill cheer too. The whole wedding cheers. They're all cheering for Jackson. Sophie smiles and grabs Jackson's hand. They walk together, slow and steady, the rest of the way. Sophie stands next to her dad. Jackson waits for his mama, who is coming down the aisle now, with Grandpa by her side, looking like the prettiest lady in the whole church. Jackson sneaks a peek at Sophie, making sure she is still okay. When Mama gets to the end of the aisle, she bends down next to Jackson. You're a great big brother, Jack, she whispers. Sophie is lucky to have you around. Looking at Mama and Sophie and Bill and Grandpop, Jackson is not worried anymore. He's not nervous when he reaches into his pocket for the rings. He's not nervous when he gives them to Mama and Bill. And when the preacher finally says they're all a family now, Jackson knows deep in his heart that he doesn't have to be so nervous about important jobs, and he definitely doesn't have to be nervous about being a big brother. Was there ever a time where you were trusted with a really big job that you were nervous about, but in the end it all worked out just fine? I feel like that's kind of what happened to Jackson here. How is the family of Jackson and Mama and Bill and Sophie different or similar to your family? Have you ever had to go to a wedding for one of your parents? So I used an interactive reading strategy that I found on a curriculum website. And basically this reading strategy was to encourage students to stay engaged throughout the whole reading. As you can kind of tell, I posed a question at the beginning, middle, and end of the story, and then I sprinkled a couple others within. But by asking these questions to kids as you read, it can help them kind of think deeply or stay engaged. And then at the end, reflecting on the whole story, I asked them, like, how is this family different from yours, and it can start a conversation about these diverse family structures that they usually probably don't see portrayed in children's literature. So, yeah, thank you.